This is WOLA Demonstration 2, using the WOLA APIs to drive a CICS COBOL program from a WAS servlet or an EJB, and the CICS COBOL program sends a reply. For this demonstration, as we did in Demonstration 1, we're going to use the WOLA util sample, which is a CICS COBOL 3270 BMS application that puts up a panel which allows us to put ourselves into a server state using the WOLA Host Service API and receive a request with a given registration name and service name, and then type in a response and send a reply to that request. We're also going to demonstrate a sample servlet that we provided with WOLA, which puts up a small JSP test panel and allows you to enter data to send to any WOLA external address space with a specific registration name and a specific service name. Here's a closer look at the servlet JSP panel that we have provided as a sample. Again, you're able to type in any message you'd like to any external address space you'd like to go to. You supply the registration name, up to 12 characters, and the service name. You then press the Run WAS External Address Space Test button, and the call is made across the WOLA APIs to the target external address space. We'll now start up Demonstration 2. This is WebSphere Optimized Local Adapters Demonstration 2. Here we're showing how to make contact with an external address space application from an application running in WebSphere Application Server. We start out with the WOLA util, which runs as a CICS transaction with a 3270 BMS screen. In this scenario, we'll be using the feature that's available under PF5 under the WOLA util transaction, which uses the WOLA API BBOA1 serve to place the transaction into a server state, waiting for requests for a specific registration name and service name. So the first thing we'll look at in the source here is the invocation of the BBOA1 serve routine. Notice again it's a COBOL call with a set of parameters: register name, service name length, response area address, response length, connection handle, wait time, and return reason and response value. In this case, the connection handle parameter is an output parameter which is returned to the application by WOLA. That connection handle must be provided on a subsequent send response, BBOA1 SRP call. So if we show you the BBOA1 SRP call, you'll notice the connection handle is the first parameter. The response area address, the response length, return code, reason code, and return value are also required for this. We'll now move over to showing you a few things in the WebSphere side, and we'll go into a rational application developer session. Here we're starting out showing you a file called index.jsp. This is the sample JSP, Java Server Pages application, which we provided as a sample with WOLA. You'll note here there is a field indicating what data to send to an external address space. There is the registration name we wish to make contact with, the service name, and there are other fields on this panel which we're not going to describe right now that are related to the CICS link server. Then there's the button to run the external address space test. The application that runs this JSP is called Invoke WAS to CICS Servlet. We'll now move to that. Invoke WAS to CICS Servlet is essentially just an HTTP servlet which has a doPost method in it, which I'm showing you now. We move down through the doPost method. You'll notice that we are retrieving parameters from the JSP and placing them in local variables. We continue down the page here. you'll notice we're getting ready to call an EJB. Right here is the invocation of an EJB. Drive into Kix2 is the method we're calling on this. And we're passing all the parameters that came off the screen into drive into Kix2. So we've now come into a servlet and are driving into an EJB from the servlet, and the EJB method name is called drive into Kix2 with a set of parameters. Notice the parameters here consist of the byte array that was passed in, the string for register name, the service name string, and these additional other parameters that are related to the Kix link server. If we follow through here, we'll now identify where the application is beginning to prepare to drive over the resource adapter for WOLA and make the call to the target program. So you notice we've set up a connection factory. We've done a context lookup against our name of Java comp env eis WOLA, and we have newed up a connection spec impl, and we have begun to indicate what we wish to do with this. The first thing we're going to do here is drive the set register name method and pass in the register name that came off the JSP panel. We're then going to set the connection wait time for 20 seconds. And we set several other fields here as well that are related to the Kix link server before we come down to setting up a interaction spec impl. We new one up here. And then we drive the set service name. This is where the target service name is passed in to the resource adapter. Last, we set up an index record. And then here's the line where we actually execute the request to drive into the external address space from the application server. So we'll now move on to show you a small demonstration of this. The first thing we'll do is go to our CICS session, and we'll log on to the WOLA util panel. As in demonstration 1, you're looking at the same panel, except in this case we are not using it to drive a request over to WebSphere. Instead, we're going to use it to set ourselves up as a server with a given registration name. So I'll provide another name here. And I'll provide my own service name. It can be any string up to 255 characters. My server short name, my node short name, and my cell name. And then I'll come down and press PF5 post service. So the application is now waiting for requests underneath registration name Kix ZZZZZ, service name myserv1. We now bring up the WOLA sample1 web application, and we supply the corresponding registration name. And let's supply some other data that we'd like to send. We'll then click the button to make the call. And if you'll notice, the call comes back quite quickly on this side. The message came in, and we're going to supply a response. And we'll hit PS6. And you'll notice that the response has come back. The last thing we'll do is we'll take a look in the servant log or the running WebSphere. and identify some trace messages that the application is issuing here. This is showing the bytes going across to the service, to the application running in CICS, the registration name that was selected, the service name, and some default other information. This is showing the execute method running, and then we've come back from the call. And with that, we've demonstrated an example for calling from a WebSphere application server application, a servlet calling an EJB, which then calls over the resource adapter, the older resource adapter, to a target program running in the CICS environment. Thank you.